Welcome to Transforming Your Website. My name is Bonique Edwards, and I run a team of digital communications superheroes. That means if it's digital and it's online, I work with an amazing group of superheroes who get it done for clients globally. Today we're going to talk about how do you transform your website. And the things that we're going to talk about are going to be applicable to if you are having your first website created, or if you just want to do a nip tuck or a complete redesign or a transformation of your existing website. Let's get started. The first thing we want to do is, in our agenda, is really talk about getting a name. Then we'll talk about the importance of getting a custom email box. Then we'll look at how do you transform your website. We'll talk about some resources and tools that you can use, and then I'll give you a little bit about my story as we close out our session together. The first thing is you've got to purchase your own domain name. I want you to purchase it for a minimum of 5 years. The key is remembering that you purchase it, not your web programmer or your web designer. You want complete ownership of it. So if I won the lottery and moved to Tahiti, you don't want me taking your domain name with you. So you, the individual business owner, not your admin, not your assistant, should be the one to purchase it. The reason why I want you to purchase it for 5 years is because you actually get more credit for search engine optimization, meaning they can find you, when you have a domain name that's purchased for longer than 1 year. The second thing is purchase it from a reputable company. This is not something that we want to get the cheapest and the baddest. We want a company, preferably American-based, GoDaddy, register.com, where I can purchase my name, get customer support by phone if needed, because again, this is the name that you're going to use. I want you to get a www, whatever your name is, and the key part is you need the .com. A lot of people get very confused. So let's say my company name is Kaleidoscope Consulting Group. I don't need a very long domain name. It does not need to say Kaleidoscope Consulting Group. That's too long. And there's nothing about the domain name that impacts any sort of copyright infringement, etc. So our web address is Kaleidoscope Rocks. Obviously, Kaleidoscope was taken. But no matter what, you don't want the .net, you don't want the .biz. I want, by any means necessary, you to figure out a creative way to get the .com. And again, it could be slightly different than where you file your taxes. It's just the name for people to find you online. Ideally, you want the name to carry through on all platforms. For example, we are Kaleidoscope Rocks www. We are at Kaleidoscope Rocks on Facebook. We are at Kaleidoscope Rocks on Instagram. You want to carry the brand all the way through. So before you hunker down and find a name, check social media platforms as well for brand consistency. If you're a nonprofit, absolutely get the .org. If you are a government agency, then you're going to have a .gov. The next step is to create your own email box. This is super important. You don't want to be special events at AOL.com, which we call Amateurs Online. You don't want to be John's Coffee at Yahoo or at Gmail. You should actually be your name. In this case, my name is Bonique at Kaleidoscope Rocks, right? You want to be John at specialevents.com. When you have your business name at a Gmail or a Yahoo or a AOL, you look small, you look unprofessional, and you look not relevant. You do not need to have a website in order to have a custom email address. Once you have your domain name, you should focus on getting a custom email address. This entire process can take 1 to 2 days, depending on how focused and disciplined you are, but it's super important. I like Gmail for Business. If you go to Google and type in Gmail for Business, they will give you a cloud-based email. What does cloud-based email mean? That means that when you have the email and you hit delete on one computer, it's also deleted on your laptop, it's deleted on your phone, on all of your platforms. That means if I take a file from my email and put it in a folder, it's in the same folder on all platforms because it's cloud-based. Cloud-based means that whatever I do on one computer, it's going to take place on every other platform. So for a small nominal fee, you can do Google for Business and create your own custom domain name and email after you've purchased the domain name. So step 1, domain name. Step 2, custom email address. Okay, so now you've got your domain name and you have an email address, and all those things work perfectly fine. The next thing you need to do is figure out, are you going to hire a website programmer or a website designer? And this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make because they think they're one and the same. A website designer is usually someone who went to school for graphic design work. That means it's their job to make things look pretty. When you look at large corporations, billboards, print campaigns, etc., they have paid a professional who's gone to school for graphic design to make things look clean, sophisticated, and easy to look at. A website programmer knows code. They know how to create databases, shopping carts. They're the ones who create CRM solutions, which is a customer relationship management software to track your customers. They are coders. Programmers and designers are very different people. When you hire an agency to do your website, you want to make sure that you're hiring an agency that has one, a designer, and two, a programmer, because you want the designer to make it look pretty, clean, sophisticated, professional, and you want the programmer who understands code, who can actually code everything. In this example, you can see that the client originally hired a website programmer to do the website and then transferred into hiring a website designer. So then people come to me all the time and say, well, can I just use a template? Absolutely. There are pros and cons to using website templates. One, you should know that there are thousands of companies that offer website templates, and there's an array of options you can use. One of the pros of using a website template is it's cheap, it's inexpensive, it's easy to make changes, you don't need to have any code, any knowledge, but more importantly, if you and I sat down today, we could spend 3 or 4 hours, we can be online tonight by using a website template. What are some of the cons? They lack sophistication. They don't look as professional. Limited functionality. You're trying to figure out, why can't you do this? You don't know what's going on. You don't know the system very well. More importantly, it requires your most precious resource, your time. If you are a small business owner, originally you start off as the accountant, the CEO, the person who takes out the trash at night. You have all these job titles. You have to figure out what's more important. When you're looking at time value of money, you need to see, do you have the time, aka money, to do this on your own, or should you hire someone? Mostly website templates mean you don't own your own website. This is equivalent to, are you leasing a car or buying a car? So if I'm going to lease that new car, then in 2 years I need to give the car back. It's no longer mine. I need to negotiate a new settlement. If I'm buying a car, it's mine, and when it's over, everything's all done. Usually website templates have a low barrier to entry. So they'll charge you $39.99 in perpetuity, forever. Whereas if you own your own website and you buy it, then you pay a flat fee up front. You own it, it's yours, but more importantly, you could take that website from place to place and keep it where you go and grow it. When you have a website template, you have a codependent relationship between you and that company, meaning that if you ever decide to not pay that company, your website goes down. Okay, you're in, you're ready. What are the next steps? The first thing is you need to define your stakeholders. And what I mean by that is who's coming to your website and why. For example, let's say you're a nonprofit organization like GLAC, Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce. GLAC has a couple of stakeholders. The first stakeholder is going to be me, the business owner. So I'm a business owner and I want to network with other Black business owners, and I want to come to events and get education and learn new things. I am one stakeholder. The second stakeholder is going to be corporations. We need funding, we need sponsorship. So the second stakeholder for GLAC is going to be those corporations who are either looking to, one, acquire new talent of Black professionals, or two, provide money and an infusion of cash into the organization to help grow and develop Black business owners. So when you are looking at your website, you need to identify who's coming to your website and why are they coming. And you need to make sure that you design it and lay it out, keeping in mind all the stakeholders that you have. The second thing is you need to clarify your message. Understand, speak to me, the stakeholder, so then that way when I come to your website, it's easy to find, it's organized, it's well thought out. The third thing is establish your goals. Your website should engage me, It should educate me, but more importantly, it should sell. Now, when I say sell, I don't want you service businesses to think, well, I don't have a product. Your service business is just as much an opportunity for you to sell. If I meet you on the street, at a friend's house, I'm gonna go to your website to act as a confidence builder. So in many cases, my social media platform, my website is the first step that people have to interact with me. Therefore, I need to quickly and efficiently explain the who, what, when, where, why in a way that's creative and a way that's compelling. I'm going to give you an example of an organization called Abacus Financial. So here you'll see that there's a financial services business, and this particular business owner is a financial expert, a business manager for creatives. And so she wanted something that didn't feel so stuffy and more engaging for her clients. So you see at the top we did creative business management. Business management is creative as our clients. If I scroll down the website, you'll see other things like abacus, more than counting beans, being creative. And the copy is just as important as the graphics. So we're using things like we save clients from themselves. And then if you scroll down, you get the business very quickly. They do business management, tax preparation, virtual CFO. And then here you'll look at, we're saying, hey, we're gonna help you keep your finances in focus. One of my favorite pages we created was something to be funny and witty and clever because they do tax separation. And so we did this great image and the words were, not your dad's tax guy. And this is what I mean by bring them in, sell. When people go to your website and they can see your personality and they can see who you are, they want to do business with you, the creative person. So the first tip I have for you is don't hire friends. These are the people you party with. These are the people they're at the disco with, the club, wherever it's gonna be. When you hire friends, sometimes they miss deadlines. They'll deprioritize you because in their mind, I'm doing you a favor, right? Sometimes you're gonna feel guilty about making changes, but more importantly, you're a little uncomfortable about having an authentic conversation about something because, again, they're doing you a favor. What I recommend is, now if your friend is a professional and this is what they do for a living and they do contracts and they have a portfolio, of course, hire friends and family. But if this is some young person who's like, oh, auntie, I can do this for you, or brother, I can do this in my sleep, don't hire anybody, I'm gonna say no to that because then you get in a situation where you're not getting the level of professionalism and sophistication that you need because this is your brand, this is your business, this is how you make a living. You have got to invest in the marketing of who you are online. How you show up and how you communicate to people digitally is paramount to your success. There's some rules to the road. I want you to be consistent in the tone, the brand. I want you to be authentic. But more importantly, again, like I was giving you in the previous example with Abacus Financial, people are not buying widgets, they're buying personality. Make sure that you show the personality of who you are. So when I started this presentation, I talked about how we're digital communication superheroes. That's me showing you my personality. You've got to make sure that who you are and your brand speaks volumes. The next thing is photos. You want to graphically tell your story. In this situation, we're saying that we're website doctors. So you could go through there, I'm putting very little text on there, and keep in mind that people are going to respond to pets, people, and kids. And I want to keep the text to a minimum when I'm doing that. All the heavy lifting should be in the body area. Very minimal text, it should be sound bites. Everything happens in sound bites. So you want to put your sound bite text on the actual graphic and all the heavy lifting text should be in the body area of your website. Seduce your clients with words. Very similar to the other example where I showed you where it says, let us quarterback your financial goals. You want to focus on topic sentences, but more importantly, you want to focus on the problem you solve. We transform images every day, right? Let us transform the way you look. You want to keep it simple by telling a story. Fonts should be big, easy to read. Again, I want you to think ADA compliance, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. It should be big enough for me to see when I go onto a mobile phone. Every sentence should be its own paragraph, not because it's grammatically incorrect to have long paragraphs, but because we want the text and copy to be easy to read and focus on being clever, witty, and funny overall. So what's the scoop on contracts? And this is what I mean, right? Focus on how do I be funny? How can I be clever? Your contract should include the roles and responsibilities. What is your role as the business owner in this? What am I going to take place with? What's my contribution to this process? What is my company? What is their role that I'm hiring to do this job? Who writes the copy? That's the text. That's the funny sayings, etc. A lot of times when you hire people, they'll say they write the copy, and all they're doing is cutting and pasting copy from other people's websites. Those things are copyright infringements. I see this happen all the time. You actually need to hire someone who is actually going to write the copy and not steal the copy. How are graphics being handled? Where are they being purchased from? How much does each photo cost me? What's the cancellation process? Are there milestones in your contract? When you deliver this, I deliver this payment. What are the payment terms, right? More importantly, what you need to know is how many rounds of changes do I get? So in our firm, we only allow 2 rounds of changes. And we want you to take a moment to pause. Go through everything and send us 1 master list of changes. We are not looking for you to send me 500 emails and then I have to gather all those emails together and figure those out. That becomes a project management nightmare. So we do 2 rounds of changes because we want you to sit and pause instead of sending us all this stuff as you think about it. You need to know how many rounds of changes you're allowed when doing your website, because this could be a huge difference that could add extra costs to the end of the project. We call this scope creep. And so in order to manage that, you want to figure those things out. You need to figure out who the owner of the website is. Again, if you're using templates, those are probably going to be owned by a Wix or whatever template company. If you are hiring someone, you need to make sure that you have complete ownership of your site. The next thing is website hosting, and this becomes a little bit tricky for people to sort of understand. So you purchase your domain name, which is a 1-year cost or a 5 years I'm recommending cost. And then you need website hosting. Website hosting has nothing to do with website changes. Website hosting is no different than a utility bill. You pay a company to keep the lights on at home, you pay a company to keep the water going, you pay another company for gas. Your website hosting company can be anyone you want in the world. You can choose a large company, a small company, you can choose your website programmer. The hosting is simply a utility bill that keeps your website on the World Wide Web. Now, I am recommending that you get a middle of the road to larger company. So GoDaddy's a large company because you want customer support. When your website goes down, you want to know what's going to happen. Things you want to know about your website hosting. One is, how often do they back up the website? If there's a computer crash or something goes down, how often is your website backed up? Super critical. You want a company that's going to back it up at least once every 10 days. The next thing you want to do is try to get a company with US customer support. And you need 24-hour customer support. And a lot of times they'll say 24-hour customer support, but what they mean is you can email them 24 hours a day. You want a company you can pick up the phone and call 24 hours a day for customer support. You want to identify if the company offers a web-based email. So in the beginning of this conversation, we talked about Gmail, but a lot of hosting companies also offer a cloud-based email solution with the hosting package, meaning you would not have to pay Gmail for your professional email. Those are things you want to check out. And finally, you want to make sure that your website is secure. So instead of it being HTTP, it's actually HTTPS www. Right now, Google punishes people, and sometimes your website will not be visible to the public if you don't purchase the security. The security runs about $99 a year, and your web programmer may charge you a fee to install that, but a lot of times the hosting company will install that for you for free. But keep in mind, to make the site secure, it is going to cost you a little bit because they want the internet overall to be a lot more secure than it is. The next thing I want you to do is video, video, video. I want you to put videos of you, what your company does, videos of staff members, but if you can get client testimonials and do videos of them talking about how awesome your company is, that makes the website even better. So you want to figure out how to use those videos. Now, a video should really be 60 seconds or less. And then if you're looking for social, it should be 30 to 60 seconds. When you work with a video company, figure out a plan that doesn't just include your website, but how do you also repurpose those videos for social media. YouTube is the #2 search engine of the world. You should create a YouTube page where you store all of your company's videos. It will help you with search engine optimization, meaning people can find you. In addition to that, it will give you a tool that you can use for all your platforms. Videos convert sales. More than 64% of people are more likely to buy a product or service after watching a video. Videos can be time consuming. You've got to sit down, pause, strategize, make it a priority on your calendar, but videos are the way to go. When you're doing a video, if you want to use music, make sure that you own the music and the video because, again, copyright infringement. These things are super important. I've lost a lot of money on doing this, so please take the tip to use preferred sources that allow you to have royalty-free music and photos. Blogging. So blogging helps drive traffic to your website. Search engine optimization means, can I find your site? There's 2 types of search engine optimization. 1 is organic, 2 is pay to play. I'm going to show you what this looks like in a Google search. So what I typed in was photographer in LA, and the top 4 all have the word ad in front of them. That means that those people are paying, and if I click on that, that means they're going to get charged for me clicking through. That is pay per click. If I scroll down, the ones at the bottom are considered organic, meaning that they show up organically because they have put in the appropriate keywords on their website to show up. So when we're talking about search engine optimization, the keywords that are on your site are critical. So what blogging helps you do is, if you can write multiple 150 words or more articles on your website in the form of a blog, it's designed to educate people, but more importantly, it's designed to put all that content on your website that you don't want to have as a sales and marketing pitch. Let me give you an example. My name is Bonique Edwards, which is probably not really hard to Google, but let's say your name was Jerome Smith. Jerome Smith might be a more common name. So in a bio, I would normally say Jerome Smith is the author of da-da-da-da, and Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith. I would actually keep using the full name Jerome Smith, Jerome Smith, Jerome Smith, Jerome Smith. So that way, when I Google Jerome Smith, instead of coming up on his Facebook profile, I come up on his website. If I am a photographer in LA, I need the blog to consistently say, if you're looking for the best photographer in Los Angeles, then you should reach out to XYZ company. So you want to create all these articles that actually refer to photography, the type of photography, and Los Angeles. So people are using blogs as a way to increase organic searches. The secret sauce is using the keywords and everything else. So you might want to put black and white photos, style photography, whatever it is that makes you unique in photography space, you want to create a bunch of articles that get posted to your blog. My favorite things. So as we start to wrap things up, I've got a few tools that I think are really helpful. And you see, for example, this one picture on my right. So there's one picture here. It's the same image, but one has a white background and the other one does not. If you look at me, I think the one without the white background is pretty slick and pretty clever. So a lot of times it's very hard to remove the images from, the white background from behind the image. If you go to remove.bg, it will remove the background. It's completely free. It's easy to use. And all of a sudden, remove.bg gets rid of that white background and gives you a very good image to use. The second one is iStock Photo. They're a subsidiary of Getty Images. Getty Images is going to have celebrities and more. It also has a heavier price tag. Their lower end model for great images, many of which you saw in this presentation, come from iStock. Promo.com allows me to create videos. They have a bunch of templates. I can customize them. I can add my own text. I can be clever. Canva, if you're trying to get your feet wet, you can't afford a graphic designer. If you create a Canva account, it's about 100-ish per year. You create a Canva account, it allows you to create compelling images without a lot of graphic design experience, and it makes you look like a pro even though you're not. Soundstripe is where you're gonna get royalty-free music. So you go here, if you're doing your videos, you wanna add some music to it without it being shut down by anybody, I go to Soundstripe. I wanna thank you so much for your time today. My name is Bonique Edwards, founder of Kaleidoscope Consulting Group. You can find me digitally at Kaleidoscope Rocks, or you can find me personally at Bonique Travels. We're here to transform your image.